Welcome to the Wrestling Philosophy Show, where we discuss unique perspectives and beliefs on the sport of wrestling. Give us a follow or subscribe on various social media platforms, including YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Enjoy the show.
Welcome, Doc Kelly III. How you doing today, Coach?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, doing great. So glad we could jump on today and share kind of your story and your program story. So to kick off,
the opportunity.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Just first things first, just kind of introduce, kind of your origin wrestling story for the listeners.
I started wrestling my junior year in high school. I actually went out on a dare from my buddies. Had only seen a little bit of amateur wrestling on TV, but I didn't really know. All my wrestling was WWE, WCW stuff in my head. And so my friends gassed me up. You can do it. I was big into weightlifting. Yeah, you can do it. You can go out and do it. Nobody's stronger than you. And so I went out for the team my junior year and had no idea what I was getting into. And had a great coach, Tim Nocton. He taught me to fall in love with wrestling before I was successful. Mm-hmm. And so that's one of the key principles that I took from him. And he told me, said, if you fall in love with it, the love for the sport is what will fuel you through tough times. And he was right my first year.
That is the truth. That is the truth. Who was your so you thought it was WWF?
Yes.
Who'd you root for? Who'd you like?
Oh, Ric Flair was my guy. Yeah, and I'm one of the original Four Horsemen myself. So but I was a huge Ric Flair fan. So the only person I knew, because that's it was that summer or the summer after. I happened to be watching the Pan Am games, and I saw Kenny Monday wrestle.
Okay.
And I just remember, I was like, oh, this guy's last name is Monday. And he was winning, and he went, monster. And I just remember seeing that name stuck with me. So got out to wrestling. Kenny Monday was the only name that I knew when I went out for that high school team. And so it turned out, I mean, my first year was awful. I was 6-18, had 5 forfeits of those 6 wins. And I wasn't sure wrestling was for me. And so that year after going into my senior, we went to a camp and I met Kurt Howell, who wrestled down at Clemson. And Kurt Howell was instrumental for me because he pulled me aside at the camp and said, I know your record wasn't good, but you have the tools to be great. You are your biggest enemy. And so he said, so what? You have to wrestle from your knees because you don't wear your prosthesis. So what? You only have one hand. And he said, you have the tools to be successful, man. You got to believe it. And it was the speech of my life. I mean, it was Tim Tebow-esque. I should have framed it and matted it in gold because I went that next year, 24-3, my senior high school, didn't get out to the state tournament. Everybody asked, what happened? What happened? And I could only point to Kurt Howell's speech of believing in yourself and having the confidence to go out and do it. And it was then that I started to view life differently instead of obstacles. I learned that obstacles are really things you only see when you take your eyes off your goals. So if you keep your eyes on your goals, obstacles really don't exist. And so went on and competed at University of North Carolina at Greensboro. They started a wrestling program while I was there, and some of the guys I had wrestled in high school were coming, and they come on out. So I went out again. There I go with friends. Don't let friends wrestle by themselves. So
it makes it a lot easier, right?
So I went out and had a great coach there, Denny Moore, and he was a no excuse guy himself. And he had polio, so he had to figure out how to be a successful wrestler himself. Wow. So when I went and told him my deal, he never even looked up from the desk when I was talking to him. And when I got done talking, he looked up and said, "Are you done?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Oh, okay. Conditions at 3:00 today." And so
let's go.
I showed up there and walked on to the team and just worked hard, man. I'm the don't have all the talent in the world, but hard work's a slow walker and it'll catch you eventually. And so just showed up every day, worked hard in the wrestling room, conditioning, and just try to get better each and every day. And eventually in year 2 there, worked my way into the lineup, became a starter. And I'll never forget the coach said it to the team. He said, here, Doc Kelly is walked onto the team and is starting, and he's starting because he's dependable. He's here every time we practice. He's at every weightlifting practice, never complains. He's dependable, and that's what being reliable will do. It'll make room for you. And so just had a great assistant coach in college, Donnell Rawls, unbelievable, man. He taught me the importance of how to practice and how you carry that over into wrestling matches. And he would ask things and just with the mind, strengthening my mind. We'd be running around, warming up. He'd ask things, how many takedowns you're gonna give up today? When we first asked that, I would give him a number. And eventually I figured out the number was 0 because you need to go to practice believing that you were never gonna give up a takedown. And so he was a incredible technician and just how to manage a match. And so anyway, ended up qualifying. I placed in the conference tournament my junior year and then qualified out my senior year in '96 and went out to Minneapolis, Minnesota. And of course, I drew the eventual 3-time national champion Eric Guerrero in the first round. I had no idea who Oklahoma State was or who Eric Guerrero was. John Smith looked familiar in the corner when I went to the mat, but just said, that guy looks familiar.
Right off the rip.
Yeah,
I share your pain when I qualified to the number 1 seed one year and the number 2 seed the other year. The years I qualified, I was like, oh, really?
Exactly. So
yeah.
I just remember that. I replayed a match in my head. I just remember he was so tough to try to finish on, and we went 45 seconds of me trying to finish on his legs, and he wouldn't give it up, and I wouldn't let go. And so I remember picking bottom in the second period, and he was trying to turn me. I wouldn't turn, but I couldn't get out. And the referee hit him for stalling on top, and that Oklahoma State crowd let me have it. Oh my! It's the first time I had heard thousands of people, booing me and calling me things that my mother didn't name me. So I just. But that match I lost to him. I can't even tell you what the score was, but I got decision to him, and that is what opened people's eye. People like, who is this guy wrestled Eric Guerrero? That
you
tough.
Were 6 years into your wrestling career, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So that got me some recognition. I won the next round, and then my career ended. I didn't make weight the second day going into nationals. So I'll take the fault. My coach takes the blame because he's the one who told. He didn't think I had a prayer, so he told me to eat up and feel comfortable, and I did. And then when I wrestled,
got a little too comfortable, huh?
Yeah. So I weighed out. After I wrestled at 39, I wrestled 126. So I got back down and missed weight. I was 0.6 of a pound over on day 2. And that's how my wrestling career ended. So, but from that, got recognition from the National Wrestling Hall of Fame, the NCAA Hall of Champions, and the Hall of Fames at my college and high school, and just opened up so many doors and avenues. And when I went to the Hall of Fame, I had no intention of coaching and just thought I'd give coaching a try. And here I am 24 years later.
So what was that spark then to coach? You're 6 years in, your competitive, I guess folk style career is over. What was the spark? Looking back, was there a certain moment that kind of sparked that coaching interest?
You know what? That's a good question. I think the fear of it ended, because I tell people all the time now, my career still hasn't ended because I live it vicariously through the guys I coach. And so it never ends, but I just didn't know what to do without wrestling. It becomes such an integral part of my life in a short span of time, and felt like I had missed a lot of it because I started so late, and so I just wanted to keep it going. And by the grace of God, the doors kept opening, and here I am, still coaching and doing what I love. So I haven't worked in 24 years. I've just been coaching wrestling.
That's awesome, right? Truly love it, obviously, right?
Yes,
Truly
yes.
learned day one, right? Still
Yes.
stuck with you. So what brought you to Lourdes? How that whole, I remember talking to you back then. We talked off air, but I remember meeting you, one of my wrestlers, right? Ended up wrestling for you, right?
Yes.
First year, right?
Yes.
You kind of reached out, hey, starting a program here. And
Yes.
I got a fine young man, leads a great life. It's someone that you wanted on a team. And shout out Jacob Sapina. But I guess what brought you to Lourdes?
I came to Lourdes, I was at Anderson, Division II for 16 years, and then this Lourdes started a program, and I always thought if I could get to a place where the wrestling talent was elite in the high school, that's I guess that is a knock on South Carolina, but I mean, it is what it is. So Ohio is arguably the second best wrestling state in the country, and so I thought if I could get there, the resources are there. And so, coming and building it from nothing was tough. I mean, that's tough when all you have to sell is a dream. You don't have any history to sell. But, to me, building a wrestling program is like eating pickles. If you can ever get the first pickle out the jar, getting the second one's a little easier. So if I could just get it going.
I've never heard that one. That's a good one. That's a good one.
So,
I'm a pickle
fan. I don't even eat pickles,
fan,
by the way. So it's so that was the draw, was to come to the talent, because I don't have family here. I didn't have any friends here. It was just me and me and my family. We just uprooted and moved. And I had two young boys at the time. They were 9 and 6 at the time. And I thought if I were ever gonna move, the time to take them was young, before they got rooted and planted. And so we came here, and biggest payoff of my life coming here. So
nice. So, but you talk about your 5-year journey, right? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Oh, year one's the toughest because you don't have anything to sell. I'm calling every high school coach. So I was talking to you, trying to get anybody I could here. Most important goal for me was to field a full lineup. I thought if you're going to start a program, you have to field a full lineup by any means necessary. And so I wasn't being picky with with who I got, and I was fortunate to get some good guys. But the one thing I was picky about was character. I wanted good character guys, because I don't mind losing with good guys, but I don't want to lose with jerks and people who don't respect the sport or the university or what we stand for. And so we came, in the first year we had 17 guys, and we put them out there, and we wrestled. We won 1 dual meet that first year, and I told the guys, winning one's better than not winning any. Right. So, but it was grit and determination and being part of history. No one could ever take that experience away from them. That's what we sold it on. And so, from year 1 to year 2, we ballooned the program from 17 kids to 35 kids. From year 2 to year 3, 35 to 46. So the growth of it, and each year we just tried to get better quality while maintaining the quantity. And so here we are, year 5. We finished top 15 last year in the country, nationals, 2 All-Americans. 2 years prior, we had our first All-American. We returned all 5 national qualifiers. Nice. We added some big-time Division I transfers in the quality recruiting class. We're ready to make a jump, we think, into the top 5. So, all in 5 years. And me and Coach Pisker, he's been here with me from day one, my assistant. But building it, we sat down at the beginning and said, the only way we can do this is we can't have egos. between the two of us. We can't argue who gets the credit. And so, he does a lot more on the mat and with the team, and I'm doing everything else. And I don't have an ego about that. When I need to get on the mat, I will. But we don't care who gets the credit. God's got to get the glory, and the team's going to be successful because we all look great in the picture when we win a conference championships and qualifying guys out to nationals. And so that philosophy spilled over onto the guys. We get some alpha males in here, but iron sharpens iron in the room, and we're all headed to the same destination, and that's to get on the podium and get as many people there as we can. But ego, we can't have it, and so we nip it in the bud. So it's been a tremendous, like I said, tremendous 5-year journey. Once we got the plane, I told Coach Rich, the hardest part of flying the plane is getting it off the ground. Yeah. Because if you could ever get it off the ground, you can get it on cruise control. You get to the right altitude. And so, getting it off the ground, the program off the ground. And so now we're flying, and this is the fun part now because we got it in the air, so we can just add the trim work to what we're trying to do, as opposed to building the engine and a transmission. So.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. And, like you said, getting it off the ground, starting right, zero roster, right, facilities, right, getting that up and going. I guess what has that changed, outside of your roster? Has your facilities changed much, or what are you guys working on as a program?
Yes, that's 5 years. That is, and I'll say, because people always ask, what is it? How have you been able to be so successful so quickly? And it's the direct link is you can only be successful as your athletic director and your president allow you to be. Mm-hmm. It's not a magic formula.
100%.
Yeah, if they don't give
all the people on board, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly. You're exactly right. So I have a really, really good athletic director. We have a really good president who supports and they come to watch. The presidents, to tell you this, president, the first, she knew about wrestling because she was at Seton Hill before she came here. Okay. But when her grandson started wrestling,
perfect,
it changed her view of wrestling. And when she had to go and sit in high school bleachers all day and watch, he said, well, he was a 103 pounder. She had to watch him get 2 forfeits, and he didn't let her leave, even though so she was adamant. Day. Yes, it is. So she was adamant about having a full lineup, because sitting in the stands to watch your grandchild get a forfeit isn't fun. She wanted to watch wrestling. And so she understood. So she gave us the tools. She came to, never forget, she watched, we had a volleyball wrestling doubleheader. She came from the volleyball match where it was in the new gym, this LED lighting. And she came into the auxiliary gym where we wrestled some of our matches right after that. And she walked up to me just before the match started. She said, is it my eyes or is it dim here? And I said, where did you come from? And she said, I came from the volleyball match. I said, oh, that's because the lighting over there is brand new. The lighting in here is 20 years old, Dr. Gowalik. And she said, I'm going to do something about that. And the next year, she spent $15,000 replacing the lighting.
Nice.
Just that, the athletic director, we hosted the conference tournament. She wanted color coordinated mats, bought us a 3rd mat. So we have 3 full mats. Wow. We're getting the facility painted. We're getting murals put up on the wall. They redone our little fitness center here that's in the practice facility where we are. We like to compete in our practice facility because we can pack it tight, get it loud, get the students standing on the balcony overseeing the mat, and we can get the place rocking and rolling.
So what's that like? So you practice or you compete in your practice facility?
We compete in our practice facility.
So paint that picture for
so it's wooden bleachers on one full side of the gym. Okay. Then on the other side is our offices. It's an elevator. So our office is up on the 2nd level. Nice. But you can walk out from the offices and oversee the entire gym floor. Nice. So that is balcony space that we allow kids to stand up. The president watches from up top. She loves feeling like she's right on top of it because you can hear everything. Mm-hmm. TV is here, BCSN. They're filming our broadcasting our matches. Right. Okay. So we get the place rocking and rolling. And so we can control factors. We always line the opponents up that it's right perpendicular to the door opening. So when people come in for the match, cold air blows right in on the opponent sitting on the bench. So they have to keep staying warm, staying on a bike, jumping jacks to stay warm. We can control all the facts. It's just a real true home mat advantage. So COVID changed that because we wrestle all the matches over in the facility for the space.
Okay.
Yes. So we're hoping that COVID's going to be, of such that we can resume wrestling back here in our practice facility. But we love it because we're here every day, and we don't roll the mats up. The mats are out when they're out here. We're not in the mat moving business. So, and what a beautiful sight it is to behold. 2 full wrestling mats covering the gym floor of the basketball court. So
send me some pics. I'd like to see that.
Okay, I will
come up and visit. I'm not far,
Okay.
but
Yes.
I could come up and visit sometime.
I will.
Yeah, BCSN, they do a great job. They cover our match up this way too. They got
okay.
started up in your area, now they cover Erie, and they do the high school stuff up here, obviously.
Good. Okay.
They do a great job, covering the sports. All the sports. It's usually wrestling's kind of left by the wayside.
Yes.
They do cover wrestling. So
yes.
That's cool. So we talked a little off air too. NAIA, right? Your perceptions of the NAIA changed. So.
Yes, it is.
You didn't fill me in on what those perceptions are, but you want to talk about them?
So I wrestled at Division One. Started coaching 4 years at Division One and as an assistant, and then I went and coached at Division Two at Anderson University for 16 years. And so my perception of NAIA were not good when I coached at Division One and at Division Two. I was guilty of saying that NAIA. I would hear other coaches say this, that they didn't want to wrestle NAIA schools because the teams were always tough, and we questioned their academic legitimacy, and so it wasn't until I became a coach at NAIA schools that I realized that the academic requirements aren't different at all from the NCAA requirements. We don't have sliding scale for the ACT, SAT, and that was the only difference. But many of the same kids had the same grades that the kids did at the NCAA schools. And so I then realized why NCAA schools didn't want to wrestle NAIA schools, because they were tough. And that was just a built-in excuse of, they're wrestling illegal guys. No, they're tough. And so now I see, because now that we're tough, it's funny, certain schools don't want any part of you if they don't think that they can beat you, and they have to put their lineups out there.
Put it on the line, right? They got put on the line. They want to do easier said.
Exactly. So that has been a great thing to experience. Is yes, you know what, we have kids who are great academically who can also wrestle. So if they want to wrestle, let's line up toe to toe. We don't run from anybody. And I just got off the phone a few minutes ago with Coach Sponseller down at Ashland, because we opened up with Ashland. And they want to do this wine and cheese event while we wrestle. That's fine. We double leg somebody into your wine table, so be it. So, so it's the perceptions are still there, but for me, probably the best thing ever happened was wrestling at the NAIA, because it's growing at such a tremendous level. Wrestling's growing the fastest at the NAIA level. We're adding on the men's side more than any other level, and all over the country, and the brotherhood accepted me, and I still have my friends at the Division I, Division II, and Division III level. Here in Ohio, the Division IIIs are huge, so I have a lot of friends at the Division III level who coach, and so there's perceptions of that, because we didn't have the Division III level, much of it down in the South. So it's just breaking through those perceptions, but the one thing is wrestling is universal. Doesn't matter what level you are. The elite guys are elite, whether it's NAIA or Division I. If you're for real, you're for real.
Right.
And so maybe we don't have the depth that the Division I's may have, or we can't put on the show at nationals that Division I does, but tough wrestlers are tough wrestlers. So.
That's awesome. So you talk about your institution, the support. Talk about NAIA. What's for a student athlete coming there, what's some of the academic programs that you guys are known for?
Yeah, so we're huge. We have several that we're known for. Our nursing program, our education department is outstanding. Our business department is off the charts. Our criminal justice, and I'm missing one. So education, nursing, business, criminal justice, and there's one more to come to me. So, but nevertheless, we have a huge e-gaming, esports.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we do esports. So we have that here as well. So those are our. I mean, those are the ones that most of my guys are majoring in those. And as you know, your Russell, your Jacob Sabina turned out to be a fantastic theology teacher here. Holy moly, is he a fantastic teacher. He's going over and beyond. And, we've had several nursing majors, and they are in high demand when they wrestle, and they're nurses. So the academic programs here are really good, and that helps to draw them because the professors work so well with the wrestling program. Being a nursing major is not a problem when they get to their senior year and they have to do clinicals, and because we try to just schedule them where, might be a week where they can't wrestle in a dual meet because they have clinicals going on. So it's a really good thing for us here with the majors and our grad school, which is how we've been able to get some really good grad transfers here the last 2 years.
You mentioned some D1 transfers. Are you allowed to talk about that a little bit? Or?
Yeah, so we are. We have some, we have a couple guys here. Richard Jackson from Kent State,
and Toledo Central Catholic guy.
Yes,
so
he is. Hunter Yaki, Wasion. From Central Catholic. We have Blake Montree, who's still with us because of COVID. He wrestled last year and this year from Central Michigan. So they're getting their MBAs, and we have a couple on the hook for next year. We're hoping to reel in too. So having a good graduate program along to accompany your undergraduate programs is a great resource to get quality guys here who want to continue their education and finish on a strong note. And that's what I love about the Toledo area. There's great wrestlers who went off, who may come back and have an extra year because of COVID. Come back home and finish up. Let your family see you wrestle. Come out of their house and watch you wrestle. And it's we're just looking forward to it. So excited about all the great things that's going on.
That's awesome. So how does that work then? Is that if they're coming from the NCAA to NAIA, do they have that extra year because of COVID, or how does that work? I guess
they do. They have the extra year because of COVID, because it didn't count. So they get another year. And Blake Montree last year we thought was his last year, and COVID didn't count, so he's getting 2 years here to finish strong. So we think all three of the grad transfers are going to be on the podium. It's just a matter of where they are, 1 through 8, and you couple that with the other guys. That's why we're anticipating making a big jump. And I'll tell you what, so a talent like that attracts other talent. There are some guys who, because iron sharpens iron, they want to come where great iron is and get sharp, and they're not afraid of the talent and getting better in the room. And so, we're looking forward to it. If I have to come up with a cure for COVID myself, we're gonna get through this year. So
yeah, no, I'm super excited for this season too, kind of getting through last year. Now, here we are right before, this season. I'm super excited too.
Yes,
you talked about roster, right? And you're kind of Northwest Ohio, for those that don't know, not far from Michigan, not far from Indiana. Obviously you mentioned Ohio and all the D3, D2 programs. What's your roster makeup? What states, areas, do you kind of, obviously probably open to anywhere, but what's the general area you guys are looking at or drawing kids in from?
The general area is Ohio, the state of Ohio. So majority of our 34 guys are from the state of Ohio. We have a couple from Michigan now. We've trickled over the border and snatched them over from Michigan, and we recruit over to Indiana as well. We have a transfer coming in from Buffalo. and Justin McDougal will be here in a couple of days. So he's the real deal as well. So every now and then we can reach, a state like New York or Georgia or California like that. But it's primarily 90% is Ohio. And, before I came here, I didn't understand why, but now after being here 5 years, I do. I don't know what it is, but I'm glad it's this way. There's a pride about the students who are from the state of Ohio. They have a pride about representing the state of Ohio. So oftentimes many of them have offers to go other places. They would choose to stay in the state of Ohio and represent the state of Ohio. And I love that pride about that the kids have, student athletes have, about representing the state of Ohio. Now we'll take them from other areas, but we have a pride about representing Lourdes University in Northwest Ohio, and we just feel like this is a untapped area. And you can go to your powerhouse areas, but if this were oil field, we're just getting started, and there's going to be more oil in the ground, great talent here that's still being mined, that we think that's coming through the high school ranks, and within 50, 70, 80 miles of Toledo, which, I love it here in Toledo. As the motto goes, you'll do better in Toledo, and you'll do better at Lourdes University. So
nice. No, that's awesome. That's good to hear. Yeah, there's plenty of talent. That there's definitely no shortage of talent in Ohio. Even you had to talk, wrestling all the time, but Central Ohio's, programs are coming up down there, so it's exciting seeing what's going on in Ohio at all levels.
Yes.
Speaking of all levels, right? You guys also have a girls program. I know you're not the coach, but obviously you're a piece of that, right?
Yes.
So the listeners on that.
Yeah. So a couple of years ago, the president asked to meet with me, and we discussed about adding women's wrestling, and what would it take to do that? And so we, and if it could be successful, and what would success look like? And so, with the athletic director, and we sat down and came up with a blueprint, and I give kudos to the president. She found a generous donor who was able to fund the startup of the program. And so, kudos to him. And from there, we have began to build a program. So it was a bit challenging for us, though, because at the time we started it, women's wrestling was not a sanctioned sport in high school in the state of Ohio. And so I think yes, exactly. So
hopefully next year, we'll see.
Yes. I think that will increase the pool of female student athletes to recruit from. Right. So now the challenge is you have to cross state lines to get girls. When you're trying to get quantity, we have some Ohio girls on the roster, but so that was. But I didn't opt to coach that just because the men's program. First of all, after getting it off the ground after 5 years, me and Coach Prisker said we never get another program off the ground from scratch again. Not in our right mind. We both told each other we'd slap each other if we ever thought about it.
Don't even think about it.
Exactly. So, but I have my own boys. They're 14, 11 now, and I didn't want to miss them being so consumed with wrestling.
I get it. So are they involved in wrestling then?
You know what? They are not, but they are tremendous athletes. They are not wrestlers. They know how to wrestle.
Okay.
But they don't. They've teased me about wrestling.
Yeah.
They both mentioned they may wrestle. One's a freshman in high school. All right, now one's in the 6th grade. But they both are in football season right now.
Oh, cool.
And they both do track. In fact, and I'll say this, I'm proud. My 14-year-old's the fastest 14-year-old state of Ohio. He's a middle school champion in the 100 meters.
Wow, no way.
Yes, he is elite. Ran 11.46 in the 100 meters.
Wow.
14 years old. So makes his high school debut tonight for St. John's.
Okay.
So,
cool. Mike Savona, is he still there at St. John's? He was a principal at where I coach at St. Mary's. Mike Savona, I know he's there a couple of years ago. I'm not sure.
Yes.
Mike is an awesome guy. We used to come up to their tournament to wrestle. Obviously, he left St. Mary's, but his son AJ, awesome young man, and I miss those guys. So they go to. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So wow, debut night. What position?
Wide receiver. He's a wide receiver, and yeah, you blame me for that. And he also plays safety some. And my youngest is a little wide receiver too. He's equally as talented. He's just in the 6th grade. They haven't figured it out yet. So everybody, but yeah. So it's man, it's good. So I'm at the football games. We're going tonight. Like I said, it's his first one. So but I enjoy it. So I didn't want to push them into wrestling. I didn't want them to have the target on their back because they're my sons, and I didn't want them to live with that. But they are like I said, they know how to wrestle. They watch it. They come to the match. My youngest comes to practice. So, but I'm content with it. So I'm as loud at the football field as I am on the wrestling match. So
Gotta love it, like you mentioned, kicking off the show, right? You gotta be loving what you do, or it's
yes,
the same. So if they
correct,
love football and track,
correct, correct,
then let them do it. So
yes.
well, cool. No, Coach, I know you got to jump to another meeting here. So, but I know we just scratched the surface. But I'm glad we were able to get in touch,
Yes.
this way. Hopefully I can come up and visit and check out the facilities.
Yes, for
person.
sure.
But I appreciate your time today. And
Okay. Appreciate the opportunity. Appreciate what you're doing for wrestling as a whole. This is benefiting everyone. I listen to many of your podcasts. So I just thank you. You produce the Jacob Subpoenas of the world who are still impacting the world. Your investment is still reaping harvest in the wrestling world, and we're all in this together. So thank you for what you do and the time you take to promote wrestling. So it's appreciated.
Thank you. I'm glad you're in Ohio. So thank you.
Me too.
All right. Thanks, Coach. It's time to start planning for next season's tournaments. Be sure you have Smitty's corner rugs on your mats to protect them and keep them clean. Get a hold of him directly at Smitty43952@gmail. If you have a tournament, it's the way to go. It creates a custom coach's box so your tournament runs efficiently and keeps the mats clean, since they use a top spray MRSA killer.
I was just saying to you there, how I've got corner, rug inventory. 'Tis the season.
It's the season right now.